Throughout history, there have been men and women who have been both feared and revered for their violent actions. But what if I told you that the most notorious group of assassins in history, the Nizari Ismaili State, were not just ruthless murderers, but rather renegade antiheroes who killed only for the greater good? Their story is shrouded in mystery and intrigue, and it all began in the historical Islamic realm. Join me as we delve into the secrets of the Ismailis and uncover how they became the most feared assassins of their time, and what ultimately led to their demise. Get ready for a journey of discovery, where the lines between good and evil are blurred, and the truth is far more fascinating than fiction. In the early 1180s, a French priest and historian named William of Tyre wrote one of the first accounts of the assassins. According to William, there was a certain people who possessed 10 castles and surrounding lands in the province of Tyre. It was rumored that their numbers exceeded 60,000. William referred to them as assassins, but was unsure where the name originated from. For many years, the assassins remained a mystery to Europeans until 1298, when Rustichello de Pisa published the travels of Marco Polo. In this book, Polo described his encounters with the assassins, shedding light on the secretive and enigmatic order. Their tactics and methods of killing were revealed, but their motives and beliefs still remained shrouded in mystery. The Venetian traveler, Marco Polo, once described a wondrous land called Newland, where an enigmatic figure known as the Old Man of the Mountain once lived. This man had created the most magnificent garden in the world, complete with 3 streams flowing with water, honey, and wine. The garden was filled with the most beautiful boys and maidens, carefully selected by the old man himself. However, admission to the garden came at a cost. The old man had a secret agenda. He wanted to turn these boys into his loyal assassins. He would drug them with opium, allowing them to wake up in the garden and believe that they were experiencing a vision of heaven. When they next awoke, the old man would have brought them back to reality, but the longing for that heavenly paradise would remain deeply ingrained in their minds. The story of Hassan, the man who would go on to found the infamous Order of Assassins, begins in the city of Qom in the 1050s. However, his family would soon move to the city of Rey in Iran, a place with a rich history of Islamic thought. It was here that Hassan would develop a keen interest in metaphysical and spiritual matters, fueling his desire for knowledge and understanding. Hassan was no ordinary boy. He was extremely clever and studious, dedicating himself to studying a range of subjects such as palm mystery language, philosophy, astronomy, and mathematics. At the young age of 17, he converted to Islam and swore allegiance to the Fatimid Caliph in Cairo. Hassan was known for his devoutness, and many elders were impressed by his eagerness to learn. He soon set out on a journey to Cairo, traveling through many different regions along the way, including Azerbaijan and Armenia. Despite his youth, Hassan was already an expert conversationalist, and his charisma was second to none. He would never shy away from a debate, and if he disagreed with something, he would not hesitate to speak his mind. Hassan's unwavering commitment to his beliefs would sometimes get him into trouble, leading to him being thrown out of towns regularly. But this did not deter him from his path. He remained steadfast in his ideologies, always seeking knowledge and understanding, and it was this determination that would ultimately lead him to found one of the most feared and mysterious orders in history. Hassan's journey led him to Damascus in Syria and Palestine, and eventually to Egypt in 1078. Although it is unclear how long he stayed in Egypt, he continued his studies and preaching, becoming a full-fledged missionary while in Cairo. Hassan's journey led him to Damascus in Syria and Palestine, and eventually to Egypt in 1078. Although it is unclear how long he stayed in Egypt, he continued his studies and preaching, becoming a full-fledged missionary while in Cairo. As the year 1090 approached its peak summer season, Hassan set out on a journey towards the mountain fortress of Persia. With his charming personality and expert conversational skills, he was able to befriend and gain the loyalty of many of the soldiers stationed at the castle. However, he was cautious not to draw the attention of the castle's lord, for fear of arrest. Fortunately, with the help of the castle deputy who had sided with him, Hassan was able to convert only new employees of the fortress and his trusted missionaries who had interacted directly with the castle. Slowly but surely, the castle became full of Hassan's allies, allowing him to take over without shedding any blood. When the time came, he boldly confronted the castle's lord and simply declared that the castle was his. With the gods and soldiers now standing guard for Hassan, the shift of power had turned in his favor. The lord had no choice but to sign over the castle to Hassan, who would become the new master and lord of Alamut Castle. After taking control of Alamut, Hassan focused on making it an impregnable fortress and a self-sufficient settlement. He improved the irrigation and cultivation systems of the surrounding Alamut Valley, making it easier for the inhabitants to produce food and water. Hassan also established a remarkable library that contained a vast collection of manuscripts and scientific instruments. Within 2 years of capturing Alamut, Hassan-i Sabbah had founded an independent territorial state for the Nizari Ismailis, right in the middle of the Seljuk Sultanate. Hassan-i Sabbah's success in establishing an independent state for the Nizari Ismailis didn't go unnoticed by the Seljuk Sultanate. While the Persian Shia population viewed the Seljuks as oppressors, Sunni sources paint a different picture, suggesting that the Seljuks attempted to form friendly ties with the locals. Sultan Malik Shah appointed a Persian, Abu Ali Hassan bin Ali bin Ishaq, also known as Nizam al-Mulk, as his vizier. Despite these efforts, tensions continued to rise between the Seljuks and the Nizari Ismailis. Legend has it that Hassan-i Sabbah and Nizam al-Mulk were once classmates and friends in their youth, but their rivalry later erupted when Nizam became the vizier of Sultan Malik Shah and conspired to have Hassan exiled. However, this legend has been dismissed by historians, as Nizam was much older than Hassan, and it was unlikely that they were schoolmates. In reality, the conflict between them was purely politically motivated. In 1092, Nizam launched a Seljuk counterattack against the Nizaris in Alamut and Quistan, but Hassan's strategy proved effective. He was able to defend his small garrisons atop the easily defendable mountain strongholds, repelling attack after attack. During the siege of Alamut, Hassan managed to evacuate his wife and daughters to another Ismaili community for their safety. From then on, he began the tradition of not allowing women into the fortress. Hassan's next move was to go on the offensive, relying on his favorite tactic of targeted killings to decapitate Seljuk leadership. He chose a fidai, a loyal follower, Tahir Irani, to carry out the mission. The Nizari army, under the leadership of Hassan and his successors, carried out a total of 75 targeted killings, always directed at high-profile targets and never against civilians. These assassinations became a hallmark of the Nizaris military tactics and were carried out by the fidais, who accepted the fact that their missions were likely to be suicidal. Despite their skill and bravery, not all the fidais were successful in their missions. Tahir Irani, for instance, was immediately cut down by Nizam's bodyguards when he attempted to assassinate the vizier. In retaliation for the killings, the occupiers would often carry out massacres of Ismaili communities, which would then be followed by further targeted assassinations on Hassan's orders. The Nizari's fidai, also known as Hassan's assassins, were known for their use of stealth, disguise, misdirection, and infiltration to directly target enemy military, political, and religious leaders. Their tactics were quite ingenious, as attacking the Nizari, even with an overwhelming force that guaranteed victory, was akin to placing a giant target on one's own back. This was an example of asymmetric warfare at its most effective, allowing the vastly outnumbered Nizari to hold their own against a range of enemies who, on paper, were far more powerful. For particularly well-protected targets, a fide might spend months or even years gaining access to their household or infiltrating their guard detail. They would bide their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When targeting less high-profile individuals, the fide would often disguise themselves as beggars or mystics, blending in with the crowd until their target was within striking distance. Not all attacks were carried out in public, however. In one story, during the siege of an assassin stronghold by the legendary Kurdish general Saladin in 1176, he awoke one night to find a shadowy figure disappearing through the exit of his tent. At first, he thought it was one of his guards, but upon further inspection, he found a poisoned dagger left underneath his pillow. The message was clear: leave, or the next time, the blade would go straight to his heart. Saladin lifted the siege the very next day. Despite the fact that the assassins ceased to exist almost a millennium ago, their legacy lives on in the form of the Nizari Ismailis, who number over 15 million followers today. They have become the largest branch of Shia Muslims and can be found in more than 25 countries around the world. Of course, things have changed a lot since the days of the assassins, but the impact of those more brutal times can still be felt. The Order of Assassins has had a remarkable impact on popular culture, and many of the methods they pioneered are still relevant today, just as they were 1,000 years ago. We always have more stories to tell at Time Capsule, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button. And as always, we'll see you in our next video.